And yep, that's us. So we are now live. It's been a bit. There was no stream last week because the race was cancelled due to poor attendance, and no one's really too mad about that since it was Vietnam. We've got people with connection issues. We've got people who haven't added me to race. ALR experiencing connection issues. We had like 2 people pull out like a minute ago. One's at his dad's birthday, that's fine. It's not looking great. Our Joe's here, that makes 8 drivers. Okay, alluPallu, you need to hold on. alluPallu. This dude, I'll just send him an invite just in case. We have 8 drivers here. Let's I've also invited Rudy, who's not here yet, so that should make 9. Hype says he'll join. I'm not sure if you'll get away with that one. We'll see what it looks like. I'll ask, I don't know, you could ask in general. You're back in the Discord, aren't you? Probably mean more if it comes from you. Let's see what's going on. Oh, we have another stream. That's tier 2 are now live with their lowercase typing. Yeah, we only have 8 people here. Aiming for a return next game. That's cool. Honestly, I might try and race here next game. Depends what I'm feeling like. Hasn't got ALR doesn't have the greatest rules ever, but or stewarding, but it's on a convenient day and time. There is only 9 guys still. I'm gonna ping RDO. Oh, 10 guys, Jim. Okay, RDO's seen it. Okay, so there are guys who are online, but haven't added me as a friend, so they're probably still waiting for Pole House to add them. URL Jonah, guaranteed points. Well, we actually have 10 now. So that is technically enough. I'll be down to race if we need it. I need to invite RDO, I think. RDO. I'll tell him. Wait, hyped. I'll tell him that you've asked a race. I want to see what he says. So we're missing Pole House. Well, if I'm assuming that I'm hosting because Pole House couldn't make it. Scusi and Dawidek. Make a note of who's missing. I won't count Ladamala on that list. We know about Ladamala. We also... So we're missing Pole House, Bread, Dawidek, Scalesy. Who said they couldn't make it? So we should be missing Dresser, Jonas, Sepsky, Pole House, who said there. So it is Pole House, Sepsky, Jonas and Dresser who said they couldn't race. So we are missing 6 drivers. Did Scusi say he can race? Did I just say Scusi's name? It said Sepsky. I didn't say Scusi said that he can't race as well. So we're missing 5 drivers. So there's 3 I don't know that we're missing. Dawidek said that he wouldn't race anymore. So that's 5. So, oh my god. So we only actually have like 10 people. Oh my god, this is such a mess. Ah, you haven't done the update, you mug. You've had like 4 guys say that they wouldn't make it for the rest of the season. We've had Scusi, Polehouse and Sepsky say that they were unavailable this week. So that makes 7, but then we had 1 reserves come up. So that's 6. So we should have 14 drivers. There are 4 guys missing from here. Hold on. This is actually giving more and more time to Ladamala in all fairness. Are we going, lads? That is the question, though. Oh, Boomer's saying something. Yo. Yeah, okay, we've got a guy to invite him. F1 2020 sign up guy. IFR Milan. Okay. Hopefully, no, dudes, don't ready up. Go spectator again. Okay, there's another guy that might be able to race. It's actually like 10 past. This is mad. No, hold on, don't go. There's like admins typing. I don't want to start when they're saying something. Jamie Wright. No, don't ready up. For God's sake. Yeah, there we go. What's his name? Come on, PSN name. Dude. Oh, he's fucked. For God's sake. Man goes, nah, I'm okay. Blood clot. We actually just have 11 drivers. This is kind of pathetic. Do you know what I'm actually dreading, right? Lobby glitching. Right, if after all that the lobby glitches something on the formation app, I will lose it. Come on, someone on track. It's the racing point of IFR Milan. It's the lad who joined the league like 10 minutes ago. Absolute legend. Let's ride on board with them. Hate when the game does that. Let's go that. Rudy on Inters, that's quite interesting. Nothing too interesting to see at the moment. Outlaps, just taking it nice and slowly. Making sure he's not putting too much heat into the tyres. There's Joe and Jim now come out onto the track as well. He got away with that just about, but I wouldn't expect him to get away with it on a push lap. Is Rudy actually on track on Inters? Hold on. What is going on? Oh, that's not good. That's not going to do much good for his tyres. Yeah, he's slowing right down at the end of his lap because he's put too much heat into his tyres now. To be fair, it's quite a long straight. You're probably going to lose a fair amount of temperature. Look at that, he's in the 70s on his fronts. Ideally you want to aim for like 85 because the softs come into an ideal temperature around about 90. So yeah, starting the lap now with Milan. Very short run overall into turn 1 compared to some other tracks. It's a very long right hand, he's staying right up tight inside, very bumpy on the inside though. Just about hitting the apex there, looked like he might not for a second, but he's gone very deep into turn 2, opens up the steering early to get a straight line through turn 3 and uphill through turn 4 into the hairpin. He has got Chiquito in the way, Chiquito is right out of the way as soon as he can, allowing a fairly nice run through the hairpin there. Now the fast left hand is going to take it flat in 7th gear, touching the inside curve just about now, switching over to the right. 3 downshifts there into 4th gear, short shifting up to 5 before taking the double left in 3rd, just about kissing each apex there and using a little bit of curb and exit. Could use a bit more, but it could risk an invalidation. 2nd gear now for this left, which comes into a long right. Got to be very patient on the throttle, using up all of the track you can. You get a slight slipstream here from his teammate down the straight. It looks like this was probably planned. Open with the RS now, and this is going to gain a little bit of time when they run down to the hairpin, but not a whole lot as the teammate gets out of the way, braking just on the edge of the curve there and kissing the apex in 2nd gear, short shift into 3rd before running up to the final corner. He's going to just 1-2 downshifts, not quite taking as much of the inside curve as he could, but it's nice enough for a 29.0 is the first lap here is Joe, currently on mediums. He's chooses to do his first lap of the session on the middle compound tyre. And it's looking, well, a fair bit slower than Milan's time, as you would expect, but it could be even 2 seconds, nearly 3 seconds, 2.5 seconds there slower than the current provisional pole time. He's going to be followed by Jim. Oh, sorry there. Jim, who crossed the line with a 31.3. That's still 2.3 seconds off the time set by Milan. But Inter's tyres going on a few of the cars here are quite strange. Not really sure why that is. But here we have the Boom J, who's on a lap. Just going to come through the final corner now. That's a lot of inside curb, probably about as good as you could get it on the inside curb there. Only good enough for third though, with another 31.3. As we'll be setting at 44.7 into the well, I don't really know what he's looking to achieve on the Inters, to be honest, but whatever. Rowley now coming into the penultimate corner of the lap. He just misses the apex. Has a lock up for good measure and a huge snap of oversteer and exit. Just about kept that one under control, but he's going to lose him a lot of time here. But he's still not in the worst place ever. It's a 30.5, so he's only 1.5 seconds off the provisional pole time here. And considering how his penultimate corner went, you'd imagine that he probably lost a fair chunk of that time in the last sector alone. Harm, another driver in Inters, Ava on the medium tyre, Chiquito also on the Inters. Don't know why it's telling us he's on mediums, but he's actually on Inter tyres. So 46.5, and that's an invalidation there from Ava, so he's not going to be able to complete this lap. He will have to box, probably put on a set of softs and go again. Why? I'm so confused about why these guys are on Inters. Yeah, he does back out of that lap there. Go pull into the pits. Give me a second. Sorry about that, I'm back. Tal Piz on the lap is on an Inters lap, so I'm not expecting a whole lot out of that. Let's see Rally coming into the pits now. I'm assuming Chiquito's probably going to box. His tyres are probably completely done, considering he's also on the Inters tyre. Let's see what Tal Piz is up to, what he can manage when he crosses the line. Maybe looking to do a decent lap compared to the other guys on Inters, not with that double lockup. He's not, to be fair, he got it slowed down in time, which is quite good considering he had that huge double lockup. But going to come across the line now, it's 42.4 points, okay, so 44.2, that's half a second quicker than anyone else on the Inters tyre, which is not a sentence I really thought I'd be saying today, but anyway. Actually, the first driver out on track this time was Joe, so he'll be the first driver to go for his second time to lap, and he is on the soft tyre now. Obviously, his first lap being set on the mediums, not fully representative, so we get to see what he can do on the softs now, which will be a much better representation of his pace. As he slows right down into the lap here, could even let Milan through from what Milan's doing. Looks like he might go through. Yeah, Milan is going to go through there, so Milan going to be the first driver on a second timed lap. So what's going on in the chat? you can join back for next week. That's pretty cool. Okay, and now just riding on board here with the racing point. Kind of watching just through most of his lap, see what he does to improve, where he's losing a bit of time. Looks much tidier there for the first sector. He's staying much tighter over that left side exit. So that is a small improvement of about half a tenth. So I mean, half a tenth is still an improvement, but it's not really like his time's under too much threat as it currently stands. 30.5 being the next top time, which is quite interesting. Short shipping there to 4th as we go through the double left, and using a bit more curve on exit. Car didn't seem to like it though, so yeah, has lost time there, lost about a tenth compared to his previous middle sector. So he's got it all to do here in the final sector. Track evolution should help him a little bit. But of course, it is all about the exit out of this long right-hander because of the long straight he's got. He actually stays much more over to the right-hand side than he did last time. He can slowly drift over back to the left to see what kind of effect it has on his tyre. Braking again right at the end of that curve and just getting it turned in just to clip the curve there. You don't want to take too much curve because then the car will struggle on acceleration, but it was quite nice there from Milan. Again, not taking much of the inside curve compared to some of his rivals, but overall has lost time in this lap, so just under a tenth worse than his previous lap. And again, you've got to remember the show across the line going second fastest with a 30.2. He didn't get the slipstream this lap that he did last time. That could have made a difference, as Hahn being the 4th driver to try a time on the Inters and Jonah being the 5th. I'm so confused about why they're doing this. This is so weird. Literally half the grid is on intermediate tyres. Let's see, we're at 45.5 there from Hahn, gets ahead of his teammate by about a second. Slightly, well, nearly a second behind Rudy, however, so still got some time to find. Wait, what happens if they have to start the race? Because you have to start the race in the tyre that you set your crown. Hold on, as Jim has gone from the soft tyre, which is set his fastest lap on, to the medium, which is Jonah there going 7th fastest with an intermediate time of a 1:43.9. Rudy's improved his own time to a 43.6. So only the top 5 on dry tyres in this very sunny and dry qualifying session, which is quite interesting. I'm going to see what Jim's plan is to go the middle run on a set of tyres that he's probably not going to improve on, unless he thinks he can improve on his time with his tyres and he'd rather start moving a strategy, which could be a good shout here because the medium-hard strategy is the best strategy. Well, the hard-medium is the best strategy, but the strategies using the mediums and the hards are the 2 best strategies. Whichever order you put them in, they are better than using the soft tyre or 2-stock. So, and the reason really for that is that the softs die here in about 4 laps. You know, 4 laps of a set of softs, and that's pretty much your tyre's gone. Unfortunately, Jim not going to be making improvement on this lap after that mistake because he went off into the gravel, but rather than that fuel there. Let's see if he does go for another lap or if he decides just to quit. He's just going to quit. Okay. And the Ninja starts another lap here, so he set his previous lap on the mediums, he's going to set this one on the softs. Taking an interesting line there through turn 1. Taking a very tight line through turn 2. Not quite as tight through turn 3 as I was thinking maybe, but not too bad, just holding the middle of the road. He's half a second up already through that first sector, so we know that there's a lot more to come from him just from that. Already cutting his time into a provisional 1:30, which will put him in line with about Joe is if he keeps up this kind of improvement. In fact, if he keeps up this kind of improvement, he could find himself near provisional pole. So yeah, rally especially better watch out, see how much he gains for this final sector, because if it's, you know, if he's getting a second and a half on this lap total, it would definitely be threatening that time set by the racing point of rally. Maybe not so much the time set by Milan, but that is still 8/10 ahead of anyone else, and that was his banker lap. So we'll just have to see. Choosing first gear there for the helping, but double shifting up into third. Is there a slightly different strategy from what we've seen from a couple of other drivers? And steers across the line. I'm not going all the way over to the right. He came over to the middle of the track, so staying on the right and minimising the run distance, but does still get that P2 with the 29.6 as cars get out of his way all over the track to let him through. You can really see his tyres starting to die, just how slippery it is for him there as he came through that first corner. Let's see what chat is saying, because there's not a whole lot more interesting stuff going on at the moment. Nothing. That's fun. And that pretty much confirms that it's not going to try and complete this lap, and the Winjay will be out of time by the time he gets to the pit, so he won't be able to go for another lap after this. We will, however, ride on board with Milan. In fact, we'll ride on board with Jim, who is going to be the first driver to complete his final lap here in the Mercedes. So coming towards the line, he's still got loads of time left. Yeah, it's going to be a minute 35 left on the clock as he crosses the line. So really interesting stuff there, because you would usually try and leave it last minute until the track grips at its highest, and Chiquito just coming out the pits. Not entirely sure if he's going to get to the line to start a lap, but I'm sure it is on limited tyres anyway. It's Jim fighting the car all the way through that. Chiquito is on mediums. Yeah, so Jim fighting the car all the way through that second corner, and in the traction zone. Kabunjo retires in the pit lane, so as I said, not going for another lap, and Jonah copies him. But Jim again opting for the mediums, so thinks he can still beat that soft tyre time on the mediums, so got to try and nail it, get it all together, unlike the last time he tried this. Obviously with that mistake through this very corner that put him off into the gravel. Let's see if he gets it better this time. He's still fighting the car all the way round. Getting so much snap oversteer, maybe a setup thing, but he does get through the corner this time round. And there is a car way off, I think it's Immortal, at a section of the track. I don't know what he's doing, but interesting. He retires. So we watch the end of Jim's lap here. Looks like Rally gave Milan slipstream once again. Jim with a 31.2 does make a slight improvement, so that has helped him out a lot here. And just throwing it through the final corner there, Milan. Let's see if it's enough. He does improve by 10. It's 28.894 as the current provisional pole time, and Rally did not get him. He definitely. He's using the glitch. Wait, I swear that glitch was patched like ages ago. What's going on? Well, I'd assume rallying Joe's time shouldn't count. What? I need to check this. So, on my screen... So, when Milan goes to the line on my screen, we'll just go on board and try and see what it's up to. The timer said 0. Okay, so when Milan crossed the line, that should have been the end of the session on my screen, but it's actually not put the flag next to Milan's name, which is allowing him to give slipstream here to his teammate Rally. when Rally crossed the line, it was after Milan crossed the line, so it's definitely on zero. But Chiquito improves to 4th on the set of mediums, and Rally backs out of his lap turn here after that mistake at the hairpin. So there will be no improvement here from Rally. Let's see what Joe's doing. He is going to try and complete the lap. That's a mistake in the final corner. Could that be costly? Looks like it was, as he's 1.5 seconds off his time. As Joe pits here as the final runner in this session, yet to do anything, as that will now end the session once Joe's car is wheeled back into its garage. Actually, it'll be when Rally's car is wheeled back, because he's waiting for his teammate to get wheeled back, so we'll just have to wait for the racing point guys. As Rally now has the flag on his name, so we should only have to be waiting for him. And that is the starting grid order. So we have Milan and Baboon J on the front row, with Rally, Chiquito, Joe and Jim following up for the top 6. Then it would be Talpiz, Rudy, Harm, Jonah and Ava starting behind them, who all did their times on Inters. Ava will get will be the only driver to get a free choice of tyres, as he did his time on the Inters. Let's see, the track is dry here, but there's a lot of clouds. There is potential for rain. Finally someone's readied up, so we've started that timer. Of course there will be a formation lap, so looking at the sky, in all honesty, it might even start raining during the formation lap, which would be pretty crazy, especially if those guys are being forced to start on the Inters, which I doubt they are. I'd assume the game would let them have a free choice of tyres, which in all honesty works out quite nicely for them. Right, it's not letting me change camera perspective. Come on game, please. This is trash. Yeah, so Talpiz, Rudy, Harm and Jonah on hards, Ava on the mediums. And those are the guys that qualified on the Inters, so did give them a free choice of tyres there. But yeah, it's a very, very strange race so far, and it's not even like it's the last race and everyone's just messing around. There is actually 2 more races after this, so I'm not sure what will happen because of this. I don't know if this is the kind of thing that admins would want to take action on or not, but to be fair, I don't think it's really what you want to see happening in your top division in a league, so I have a feeling they might try and do something about it. Just coming down the back straight now. Absolutely no weaving going on there from Milan. So he's obviously just trying to control his tyre temps a bit. There's the rest of them just doing the weaving to heat them up as much as they can. Finally forming up on the grid. And to be fair, pretty well behaved from a formation up there. No unnecessarily big gaps. The field's kept quite close, which is nice to see. Just a shame that it took having only 11 drivers for it to happen. And get ready now with 4 and 5 red lights. And we are away for the Chinese Grand Prix, or we should be. Let's see, it looks like there's a bit of lag desyncing here. And now we're away. It's been a good start there from Milan. However, a poor start from his teammate Rally, who's going to get swamped here into turn 1 by Chiquito and Joe. Chiquito going for the inside and Joe for the outside, but it looks like Rally's just about going to be able to hold on with the inside of turn 2. Let's see if we can get the better traction. In fact, it looks like Chiquito might have got slightly better traction there and could mount a challenge into the hairpin. Going for the outside as Rally defends, so going to have to go the long way round here, and it's not quite worked out for him. Maybe under pressure a bit from Joe here. Not really overtaking spot, however, as really drops back to 9th off the start, so he's had quite a poor opening lap here compared to normal, and getting racy with his closest championship rival Talpiz. So both of the guys at the top of the championship quite far down at the moment, 9th and 8th, which is not what we're used to seeing, especially on grid with only 11 drivers. As Baboon J's had an incident, it's on the inside and it's with Rally, and so that's a safety car, full safety car is out. That's just on the inside of that long right-hander, so I don't know, maybe one of them lost traction. Could be what happened there. So safety car forming up in Milan pits for what I'm assuming will be a set of parts. But I could be wrong, as he's followed in by a Rally here. It actually turns out Chiquito set his lap after the time, like started his lap, sorry, after the time ran out, so just sat behind a safety car really. Not much more to say. Maybe I can go have a look in the interview lounge if I can find it. There it is. So, question number 1, what do you think of this track? Question number 2, who will finish on the podium? Question number 3, what will the pole time be? Question number 4, only 3 races to go now, how many people will be in with a title shot going into the final race? Question number 5, are you looking forward to 2-player career on F1 2021? Who will you be playing with? If so, or are you still looking for someone? Question number 6, who's your favourite F1 team? Rudy says bad. He thinks the track is bad. Podium he thinks would be Talpiz, Polehouse, Jonah. Maybe. I can see Talpiz, he's leading the hard runners. Jonah as well, definitely possible in those hards. Polehouse isn't here though. It says that the pole time would be a 28.6. He wasn't miles off. says only Talpiz will be in with the shot. He says he'll be doing his career mode with Jim, and his favourite team is McLaren. Jim says he likes the track, it's something different, and it isn't overused. Yeah, the problem is with saying the track's overused, is there's a set of tracks which are going to be in every single league this season because they're good. And, you know, most seasons have 15 to 20 races in them out of a possible 21 on the game, so it's kind of impossible to not have an overused track. I think the only exception is just tracks that people tend to not like and not use at all. But I get what you're saying. China, you probably only get it pop up once per game, maybe twice per game, depending on the league. If it has 3 seasons or 2 seasons or something, so I get what he means. I think the podium will be Talpiz, Chiquito, Jonah. Well, Chiquito's there at the moment. Talpiz is there on the hards, and Jonah is definitely with the possibility. So, oh, Jonah, AH, who isn't here. So, right. 1:28.4 for the pole time. A little bit further away. He assumes Rudy and Talpiz will be the only people in with the shot into the final round. He says he's driving with Rudy on his career mode, and his favourite team is Ferrari. He says that Chiquito says that this track has lots of tricky traction zones as the safety car is in this lap. He says podium will be Talpiz, Jonah and Bread if he's available. Well, he's not. He says the pole time will be a 28.6. Not a bad guess. Says that Rudy and Talpiz will be able to win the championship in the final round. He says maybe he'll do a championship with Talpiz, a career mode with Talpiz, and he says that he doesn't really support any particular teams, but his favourites right now are Ferrari and AlphaTauri. And with that out of the way, we'll focus on the safety car restart. Both Red Bulls leading here, and actually completely missed the fact that Harm was on the hards and up in 2nd place, which is kind of crazy. Is that McLaren there is even more crazy getting on the grass while weaving like that, and that's a mad little train there, to be honest. Let's see, where's Chiquito going to go? Where's he going to decide to lose the pack? He can go really at any point he wants. He goes straight away as soon as he can with the safety car in the pit lane. He's gone very, very early, but it has worked. He's left Harm pretty much for dead with a 1.6 second gap by the time they reach the line. Jim going very wide there at the last corner, probably picking himself a warning up. Joe going to be one of the chargers to look out for on the restart on the soft tyre. However, the soft tyre probably dying at this point, maybe even in a lap or two they will be slower than the medium, so definitely a risky choice there for him to stay on the softs instead of pitting for either a set of mediums to go to the halfway point and then set another set of mediums to the end, or a set of hards to try and go to the end on, which is possible. Risky, but it's possible, as Milan makes the position up on Jonah there using the softer, fresher rubber there to his advantage. And next up the road for him is Rudy. Milan looking like probably the most aggressive run at the moment, is he's already looking for that move on Rudy. There's a lot of weird weaving and ducking. I don't know if that's desync or something he was actually doing, but oh well. Guess we'll never know. There's riding on board with him now, slipstream, as we have another incident at the back of this Baboon J again, with another collision with Rally, a severe collision for 5 seconds, penalty, and IFI Milan gets clean through on Rudy as Jim gets passed by Joe up ahead, and I wonder what's going on with these two, because they have had 2 incidents there at the same corner on 2 racing laps, which is kind of weird. But look at that gap already from Chiquito, 2.1 seconds. Really did well off of that safety car restart, and Jim here all over the back of Joe. So what I was saying before with the soft tyres maybe dying at this point, obviously I know Joe's just passed him, so he's not going to be miles off the road, but Jim's not exactly getting dropped here, which does suggest that the soft tyres aren't going to be particularly great for trying to pull away. Of course, there's still no DRS in this race because of that safety car, so it's not like Jim's staying in with DRS either, as Babunje has crashed and retired from the sessions. See if maybe Rally can get us a point of view of what happened there, as it's on the exit of turn 2. Quite a strange place to have an incident on the outside of the track. You could expect maybe a spin to the inside, as I think his car just disappeared there, so we won't see. It was just, I think, an intentional crash, if I'm being honest, looking at where it was. As we get the weaving trains down the straight here, as we get a nice view out the back of Tal Piz's McLaren. And let's see if any moves are going to be possible here. Looks like there's going to be one in the back between Immortal and Jonah. He moves just about across in time to not clip Jonah's front wing there. It was very, very close, but he did just get in front by the time he moved onto the racing line. So good stuff from him, as Tal Piz now looking for the move on Jim into turn 1. Not your normal place to overtake, and didn't quite work out from there. Jim closing the door, but maybe as they come through the snail section, as obviously you move away from the inside of the track, this will allow Tal Piz to find the space that he needs. Looks like Jim's trying to force him out, and Tal Piz has to back out for now. Maybe another opportunity coming up into the hairpin, as he quite aggressively takes that curve. Looks like Jim's lagging quite a bit here as well, which wouldn't help Tal Piz at all with trying to judge where that Mercedes car is placed. And he's got to be worried about Milan on much fresher and softer tyres behind him. I say much, like 2 laps, but oh well. Milan, of course, we know very quick from qualifying, so Jim goes straight off and into the wall. Just lost the back end on the inside wall. It's another safety car here, and I would say that's definitely hard tyres to the end for those who are currently not on hard tyres. And, well, I guess the ones who are on hard tyres could either stay out and try and do a one-stop, or they can go medium to the end, which I think would probably be the better strategy at this point. Because if all those guys pit for hard, you're losing your advantage. Let's see, as we are now left with only 9 drivers this race. We have Chiquito into the pits, Milan staying out for obvious reasons. He doesn't want to give away the advantage that he's got by having these tyres, and his strategy will work to the end of the race, so no point switching onto the hards now and kind of losing the advantage again from pitting under the first safety car. Rudy, however, does pit from those hard tyres. Joe opting for a set of softs. Probably not the best choice. I'd imagine that the medium tyre is the best race tyre here, at least. And Harm having his advantage cut right down here to nothing. So Tal Piz staying out on hards, Harm staying out on hards, Immortal and Chiquito also staying out on the hards. But Joe, Rudy, Jonah and Rally all coming in for either a set of softs or a set of mediums. Chiquito's already pitted for a set of hards. He's going to try and go to the end of those. Probably the best strategy at this point in time, but we'll have to see. We'll have to see what happens with that one. And while we have the safety car, I guess I'll take that opportunity to finish off the interview lounge. There is only 2 more people to go. Jonas says he's not a big fan of the track. He thinks he's going to spin. He's avoided it so far, so congratulations to him, I guess. He says the podium will be Rudy, Tal Piz and Chiquito. Yeah, it's definitely a possible thing. I think this safety car's probably hurt Tal Piz's chances of being there, in all honesty. But we'll have to see. He says the pole time he thinks will be a 1:28.8. Again, not a bad guess at all. He says he thinks that Rudy will have won the title by the final lap. He doesn't know if he's going to do a co-op career mode. And his favourite team is Red Bull because he's a Verstappen fan. And Harm says the track is meh. Podium will be Tal Piz, Rudy, Chiquito. Pole time 28.6. Tal Piz and Rudy to be able to win the championship in the final round. He says he's not looking to do a two-player career mode. His favourite team is Red Bull. And that is it, as we have Milan into the pits then. So he's obviously decided that the hards to the end is the strategy he wants to do. I think he didn't pit before because his teammate Rally pitted, and he didn't want to force any kind of double stack because of how far behind in the lap Rally is. It could have meant that he had to double stack when he came to the pits because the game has some weird timer around double stacks. And I'm not sure, it probably would have just been worth losing the time and not being 8th. But then again, it's 8th, which is second to last in this race, but you know, there's worse positions to be than 8th. But it means he does have to do a lot if he wants to catch up to Chiquito, who's currently 4th place. And obviously, safety car narrows the time gap down, but it doesn't stop the fact that there's going to be 3 cars between them. So very interested to see how this one plays out. It's actually Rally pitted off of his mediums onto a set of hards, so that's one way of getting around the tyre strategy issue. Maybe they just thought that the tyres wouldn't go to the end from when the safety car came out, and this was the first choice they had to make the tyres go to the end, but I don't think that's particularly true, to be honest. You can definitely stretch the tyres if you need to, like I'm sure Chiquito's planning on doing. I don't know, but everyone except the top 3 has now pitted in this race, and the top 3 started on hard tyres, so they're probably going to try and go long in this race, but they don't have the advantage to do it. We will have to see the likes of Joe, Rudy and Jonah pit again, so that is the only saving grace for that top 3, but Chiquito, Milan and Rally here will not have to pit again, providing that everything goes well for them. And it looks like the safety car might be out for yet another lap, since Rally has not caught the back of this train. So he's going to be charging up to the pack as quickly as he can, but I don't think he's going to get there in time to stop the safety car from staying out another lap. So I think we will have to go another lap behind the safety car, as back of that train is at the end of that straight, and Rally now about halfway down this straight. So yeah, safety car's gone past the pit lane. We will have to go another lap under the safety car, but this should be the last lap, because you would expect Rally to catch up to the train. Whole train will be there. There's no reason for the safety car to stay out, and we can get back to some racing on the start of lap 10 hopefully, which would be nice. It would give us 19 laps of racing left after these 2 early safety cars, and hopefully we'll have a bit more of a normal race. I know there's a lot less drivers left to do the racing with. There's only 9 of them, but hopefully we can still get something out of this race after the weirdness that's been going on all day today. Let's just see if yeah, Rally's quite unimpressed that he's had an incident at the same corner 2 times with the same guy, but that's just kind of how it is. Let's see, hopefully we should be getting a message saying the safety car's coming in this lap once we cross that second sector split. And there we go, safety car in this lap. So it will be up to Harm this time to dictate the pace of the field. He's going to drop back from the safety car as much as he can down this straight, hopefully, to add a bit more unpredictability to his getaway. And let's see if he chooses a different point from the last safety car restart to bolt. Obviously by doing so he'll maybe catch out some drivers. Obviously only the leader knows when they're going to go, so they do have the advantage in terms of they can catch out the drivers behind, they can try and trick the drivers behind. Obviously they can't accelerate and slow down again, that's not allowed, but the only way for a driver behind to really try and get an advantage is to guess when the leader's going to go and try and get a better run as they do it as Jim leaves the session. But Harm there is choosing a different point from his teammate to release the field, and it did catch out Talpiz there slightly. Let's see, when's he going to choose? Is it going to be through the final corner? Still weaving. He does go on the exit of the final corner though, so a bit awkward for the guys behind, but it has not caught Talpiz out as much as it caught the Red Bull out last time, and certainly not caught out Chiquito, who's probably communicating with his teammate there on when he's going to go, and that has allowed a great run from the Red Bull to get in a position. And Jonah going around the outside of Rudy, he's going to switch to the inside for the next corner. Is Rudy able to hold it on the outside? Doesn't look like he will. Jonah having better traction on those softer tyres as well. And even Joe here now having a look at Immortal. He's looking to the outside, he's gone on the grass, he's completely destroyed one of the brake marker boards, and Immortal did brake very, very early there, allowing Joe and Jonah through as well. So yeah, very strange stuff go there, but I'm just not sure what's happened really. Is Immortal now getting passed by Rudy, having a horrible time of things on those hard tyres, and even now Milan getting past him on the inside. You would imagine that Immortal's going to have to give this up as they do collide through the right-hander. Barely enough space left by Milan. You could argue that he didn't leave enough space, but at the same time he was quite a way ahead of Immortal. Immortal definitely should have backed out there. It wasn't really worth the fight, and he has now moved down to last place. As now we have kind of one of them typical stalemates that you see in this game, where everyone's just kind of close to each other. Obviously no DRS enabled yet, so that's one less issue they have to deal with when it comes to overtaking. But it's all going to be about who's going to make the mistakes here, who's going to risk using a bit of VRS now to make up the positions, and it's not going to be Joe as he brakes very early for that corner. Definitely not risking anything with the Red Bull ahead of him coming into that hairpin. So we have seen a couple of drivers just falling off the back here. Rally and Immortal unable to stay with the back of this train. So really drivers losing out at the moment, whereas the rest of the field is able to stay together, and that's a spin from Jonah. He said he thought he was going to do it at some point. There it is, the first spin from Jonah. He reverses straight onto the track in front of Immortal. Luckily the ghosting system coming into play there, so there wasn't a huge collision. I'm sure might get complained about anyway, but probably not. As Joe now with a great run on Chiquito, weaving all over the place to break the slipstream. We see definitely just one of them things where the whole train's snaking. Looks like Harm really trying to break the slipstream from Talpiz. Talpiz follows him, Chiquito follows him, and Joe follows him. He was just kind of get the snaking effect down the straight. Very strange to see, but DRS will now be enabled, so really I think for Joe, if he wants to get this move done, he's got to do it before they reach the next DRS zone. Otherwise Chiquito will gain the DRS on Talpiz, and it'll become fairly impossible to make any actual overtakes, even with the softer rubber. So it's really now or never if you're Joe, unless he trusts the soft tyres to have a bit more of an advantage in a couple of laps time. But he's been on them 4 laps already, so they're really, to be honest, going to start to die about now, and he's going to see his pace rapidly drop off as they continue through the laps. Three-tenths off there. Keeping it very close really. Chiquito doesn't have any slipstream on Talpiz. He might just about get into it now. He does just about grab the edge of Talpiz's slipstream, but I don't know if that's going to be enough to stop Joe coming through, who has a lot of slipstream. Got a much better exit with those soft tyres, so did a little bit better than I thought he would, but those tyres really going to start dying now, and doesn't quite get the run that he needed out of the penultimate corner, and that allows Chiquito to defend his position. So Joe not making any progress as Rally, Immortal and Jonah all pretty far off the back of that train now, compared to the rest of the people in the train only being separated by 4 to 7 tenths all over. So very close stuff in this train at the moment. Got to imagine that they're lapping at pretty similar paces, even given the compound difference by Joe and Rudy. I'd imagine Rudy's probably got the best tyres at this point, as Joe's softs will start to die off a bit, and you can just see how close he's getting. Even with a compound harder tyres, staying so close to the back of that Renault, and could even mount a challenge if Joe makes a mistake through this next section. 4 tenths, maybe not. Joe's still very close to the back of Chiquito. Obviously all of these drivers can be suffering a bit with dirty, yeah, but Joe actually drops way off the back there, and that allows Rudy to catch up, so this definitely could be a challenge here for Rudy. Already pulling out, using all of his overtake to make sure it happens, turning it off once he gets the DRS. He doesn't want to use too much. He's still got to chase after, but there's going to be a re-challenge there by Joe, not able to get late enough on the brakes to make it work though. We have a bit of a fight down the back between Jonah and Immortal. Jonah passing Immortal for 8th place here in this race, and Chiquito actually staying very close to the back of Tao Piz, so maybe some team play going on here. Maybe Harm just backing up Tao Piz a bit into his teammate to help secure a Red Bull 1-2. Definitely possible, as I do suspect that they're probably in a party together talking to each other, so this kind of strategy is definitely possible. But it's going to have to wait a second to see it come into effect, because again, as we've mentioned many times before, the DRS trains down the straight are going to cause some issues when it comes to any chance of overtaking here, even if they are all half a second apart. As Joe now falls over a second off the back of Rudy, and comes under pressure from Milan. Milan not really able to find space on the inside there, Joe being quite generous with the amount of space he gave, considering how alongside Milan was. Now Milan's used that to his advantage. He's going to stay on the inside of the long right hander, and before they even get to the DRS zone, he's going to use that overtake mode to get in front of Joe, and DRS will blast him past no problem, as he can look to get after Rudy now. Rudy, who's still behind Chiquito, who's still behind Tao Piz after that straight, so not a whole lot going on there in terms of positions. I have a feeling it's going to look that way for a lot of the rest of this race, which is kind of hurting Rudy, as we do know Rudy has to stop again, and he's not going anywhere. As Joe pits off of the soft tyres, I'm going to imagine he'll choose mediums and try and go to the end on those mediums, so does drop him down to last, but he's got a fresher set of tyres and he can go chasing after the rest of the pack with the remaining time. Comes out of the pits about 15 seconds behind, I'd imagine. 14 seconds, okay. And Rally actually dropped way off the back of Milan now, as Jonah looks like he's slightly catching the Racing Point driver, and Immortal only losing out to Jonah all this time, so you've got to imagine Jonah's got a pit as well for a set of mediums, probably this lap, as those softs are definitely not going too much further than they have now, and it's better, I guess, to pit now and spend the rest of the race making the time back up than leaving it to later and just not being able to get that time back that you lose through the extra stop that Rudy is really going to start suffering from in the next phase of this race, because he does have to stop again, but he's not making up any ground, so if he stops now he will come out probably not last, but behind Ava at least. Just trying to see, 7, 8, 9.5. So yeah, it would definitely come out a long way behind. Actually, it'll probably be about 8th place, maybe even 7th. In fact, just during the pits there to get rid of his soft tyres. So yeah, I know he's only going to drop from 4th to 7th, which isn't a huge amount, but if he was on the hard tyres, he'd be at least able to maintain 4th, if not maybe challenge towards the end of this race, depending on what went on. So yeah, just kind of not working out for Rudy quite as well as it is for some of the other drivers here who chose the hard tyres. And quite surprised that actually it wasn't everyone that pitted onto the hards. I thought that under that second safety car especially, everyone would just pit onto the hards and would go to the end, but some people always like to switch it up a bit, see if they can do something different, and that's definitely what Rudy's gone for here, as Milan just about creeps into his DRS range, as Chiquito trying to break that slipstream that Rudy doesn't have anyway very early. Of course, slipstream only coming into effect from about 6/10ths back, so Rudy being 8/10ths back isn't getting any of it. Neither is Chiquito, in all honesty. Right on the edge of that 6/10ths, he's maybe getting a very slight slipstream, but it's nothing too much. I mean, say that slipstream isn't that noticeable anyway, in all honesty. But Talp is just able to stay half a second behind Harman at the moment. In fact, having a much better run through turn 1 there compared to his rival. So maybe an attack could be getting mounted soon. Let's see what the ERS levels are like. Yeah, he's got about 30% more ERS than Harm there. So maybe he's just waiting for his moment. And he'll try sticking as close as he can to the back of that Red Bull and just wait for his moment to strike. He's got to just save his ERS. He doesn't have to use too much from his position. He's hanging on to the DRS quite nicely. And that lockup won't help. When the time comes, you know, maybe a few laps from the end of the race where there's not much chance of a counter-attack, he can take the position and try and hold on to it. But that is most likely what this race is going to be for the remaining time we have. It's going to be more of a race of strategically placing when you overtake instead of many battles all over the place for position. I can't see really too many overtakes unless Rudy and Milan really try and make their way up the field. Milan definitely possible for him to do that, but Rudy, knowing that he has to stop again, it's probably not as likely. But Milan definitely has some pace. See, he's caught this train. He's actually fitting in quite nicely, about half a second behind Rudy here. And I'd imagine he's using a lot of ERS to do it. Yeah, he's on 25-ish%. So is Rudy, in all honesty, whereas Chiquito and Talpiz have saved a lot more harm, about 50% mark. So it's going to be quite interesting to see what drivers like Milan can do, or whether all the ERS he's used to get there is just going to mean that he hasn't got enough to make any more positions up. But he has time now. He's in the DRS. You obviously save more ERS when you're in the DRS, and you have to use less to stay in the DRS than you would have to catch someone. So he's just going to spend a bit of time now, I think, saving tyres, saving ERS, saving fuel if he needs to, which he doesn't, and wait for his moment, I guess, just like we're expecting Talpiz to do here on Harm. But yeah, really is the kind of race we're in for here today. It's more like a cycle race where you see them all sitting in each other's slipstream, but even then in cycle races they do occasionally swap positions to rest, because obviously if you're in the slipstream you have to put less effort in than the guy ahead. Whereas in F1 2020 it's more advantageous to just stay behind and pick that one moment you're going to make your move and give it your all to make it happen, which is most likely either going to be the last lap on the last DRS straight, or maybe if they want to be careful, the penultimate lap or something. they could maybe give themselves a 2-lap window to make the pass happen, just to give them more of a chance that if the guy ahead sees their move coming, they can have another go. Obviously with the more ERS that they have. Let's just see here, Milan closing on Rudy, but obviously the dirty air through the middle sector making it difficult to stay so close. You can just see running wide of the first apex there, and hitting the outside curve is going to cost a lot of time. 8 tenths now, so losing 3 or so tenths just from that little sequence, and he's going to lose a little bit more to this right-hander, you'd imagine. In fact, he gains, so maybe Rudy looks like he's just taken a slightly different line, because the time does equal out as they get to the end of it, so Rudy may be slower in, faster out than Milan, who's trying to carry a better minimum speed. And the gaps don't change at all as we get to the end of the straight, so yeah, I honestly expect more of this, but Rudy starting to look like he might be struggling to keep on the back of Chiquito. Maybe those medium tyres just starting to come towards the end of their life here, as you expect him to probably pit for softs at some point soon. And that could mean that he drops out of that DRS and becomes a bit of a target for Milan, who is actually looking like he's struggling to stay inside the DRS himself. So maybe the pack is starting to get a bit more of a move on now, as Immortal pits, I'd imagine, for a set of soft tyres. Going to go for the fastest lap. Don't know why he's left it so, well, I don't know why he's done it so early, sorry. Would have left it a bit later to give yourself more of a guaranteed chance of grabbing that fastest lap and no one else beating it, but oh well. There's no one yet with a penalty for track limit, so they've all kept it nice and clean so far this race. And to be honest, if anyone does end up getting a penalty, could mean disaster for them, especially if they're in this top 5 group. It could cost them all the positions in this group. They could be sent down to 5th place, so it could mean a lot. It's actually, we have Tao Piz now. Did make Harm a little bit worried there down the bottom part of the straight, but didn't go for the move, so maybe just waiting a little bit longer, doesn't want to go for it yet. As Rudy gets overtaken by Milan, Rudy does pit now for what I'd imagine is a set of softs, as nothing happens here. Milan now has to close his gap to Chiquito if he wants to stay inside the DRS and stay a part of this group, which is going to be a tough ask, but given the pace that he's shown so far, definitely possible, as Rudy drops to 6th. Looks like he's safe from dropping any further due to Immortal's stop though, so no, he is going to drop to 7th. Joe does just about get out in front, but I wouldn't imagine he's going to stay there for too long. Maybe even Rally's position will be under threat here from Rudy. So the field has spread out quite a bit since we last looked at the gaps and looked at the strategy situation. As Rudy now, you've got to imagine, going to go for the move down the inside of Joe into the hairpin, and I don't think there's going to be too much Joe can do to fight that one back for Rudy. Rudy up into 6th place, as Chiquito getting very, very close to Tao Piz now. So Tao Piz, having used a bit of VRS in the previous lap to make Harmon a bit nervous, could now be under pressure from from Chiquito, should Chiquito choose to do the same. In fact, Harm derating as we get to the end of the straight. He's going to be losing a lot of straight line speed due to that, compared to his rivals who still have a lot of battery left. So this is really getting crucial, as both Harm and Tao Piz pit off of their What? They've pitted off of their hard tyres. They're going to go for softs. That could have just handed Chiquito the win, but I'd imagine Chiquito's going to do the same, given that we assume he's in conversations with Chiquito. And that moves Milan up into 2nd place, as Joe gets 3 second time penalties, the first driver to get track limit penalties, and Rudy actually undercuts both Harm and Tao Piz, so they have reacted, I guess, to what Rudy did earlier and have lost out because of it. It's a really strange decision. I don't get why they didn't just stay out. There's 6 laps left, 6.5. It's unlikely that Rudy's going to catch 19 seconds in that time, and now they're behind him. I can't understand that strategy at all. Unless they think they're going to get a puncture, but they pitted late enough to the point where they should be fine. We'll have to see what Milan does here and what Chiquito does, but if Chiquito pits, that could very well hand Milan to win, in all honesty, as Milan happened to drain a lot of his ERS to catch up to Chiquito. Chiquito has a fair bit left in the tank. Let's see what's Chiquito going to do. So he carries on, does not follow his teammates' example. Chiquito staying out in the lead of this race as Ava becomes the second person in this race to get a penalty for track limits. Now Rudy and Tao Piz going at it, the two championship rivals, as Rudy pushes Tao Piz completely off the track at the hairpin there. Didn't see it properly, but it was probably fair. It's not like the surface off there is grass or gravel or anything, so it wouldn't have meant too much, but it just shows that Tao Piz really, I think he's made a huge mistake there by pitting. He's thrown away so many points to his championship rival just by going for that extra stop. I just don't get it. Very defensive there from Rudy. Maybe Tao Piz going to get a better exit. I don't think this is really the opportunity to go for moves. We have yellow flags at turn 1. It's Ava. Looks like he's got going again, but he does have some front wing damage. So very tight train here. Rudy, Tao Piz, Harm. And let's just see what they're able to do, as Milan did get inside of Chiquito's DRS, so should be able to pull himself along quite nicely there, as Immortal goes way off the track at turn 3 and retires. And that causes the virtual safety car, so he didn't press the retire button. He's just gone straight on the throttle and accelerated into that wall, bringing out the VSC, which is not right in all honesty, especially since he's 9th place. He was getting points no matter what happened, and he's throwing them away. And caused the safety car doing it, which has affected this race, because I'm very sure that Tao Piz would have got the move done there. And Milan uses that opportunity to pit, which is fair enough in all honesty. His teammate follows him in. Wouldn't have done that being rally, but for Milan it made a lot more sense in my opinion, as he will just about get out ahead of this little train here. As Rudy and Milan fighting over position here. Oh no. I think they've had the safety car glitch where the game doesn't know who is in front at the end of the safety car. So Milan now going to go for the move on Rudy up the inside into the hairpin, and that sorts it out. I think he has done the move under green flag conditions, so he is now ahead. Again though, you've got to wonder if maybe he's thrown away a potential win there by pitting, because he's now so far behind Chiquito. He's not going to close that gap up, and he had Chiquito's DRS, if you remember, so he definitely could have done something from that position to win the race, but he's instead decided to pit and get himself involved in this fight. He now drops Rudy outside of 1 second. As Immortal says that his brake broke on his controller, so that's why that happened, but it is a little bit suspicious, the timing of it, no offence to him. But he did apologise for causing the VSC nonetheless. And let's see now, Rudy getting the DRS from Milan is proving quite helpful to him. It means he's able to keep Tao Piz at bay for a little bit longer and really extend his lead in the championship just a little bit more. As if I go and check the standings, He's currently going into this race 23 points ahead. So by finishing like this, he will put himself over a race win in front of alluPallu with only 2 rounds left. So yeah, I kind of think that alluPallu, if he hadn't have pitted there, yeah, it's okay, Immortal. Kind of think that if alluPallu hadn't pitted there, he'd be gaining a lot in this championship, as Milan actually has a 3-second time penalty. So he's got to really try and pull out that gap in the remaining 3 laps. But I don't understand why all these guys pit. I understand why Rudy pitted, he had to. But the rest of them, I don't get it. Not even slightly, as alluPallu now going for the move to the outside of the hairpin. Braking late, but there's a bit of lag there. I don't know. Oh, they're ghosting through each other. As there's now contact, Rudy hitting the rear tyre there of alluPallu. And now he spun him into the fast left-hander. And alluPallu will not be happy at all. I am very sure that will end up in the steward's room, as alluPallu is now down to 6th. Just about ahead of Jonah, going to hold that position through turn 1, I'd imagine. Yeah, Jonah backing out of the move there, so it's not going to do any harm there. But now Rudy has to deal with Harm coming onto lap 26 here. Harm all over the back of him already. Let's see what the ERS amounts like. He's got way more ERS than his rival here. Rudy, of course, we saw derating before. Harm with 65%. And if he stays this close through this middle sector, he's going to be a real threat onto that back straight. And of course, only 8 drivers left in this session, so they're all scoring points if they finish. Yeah, it's just not the greatest thing to see from the top tier of a league, in all honesty. I know it's at the end of the game's life cycle and people are going to be giving up on the game. There's a bit of contact in the straight line there from Harm and Rudy. Looks like Rudy maybe moved across a little bit on Harm. Harm going to turn into the apex of the corner. Rudy backs out, gives up the position for now. Does have an opportunity though next lap to get that position, and of course the lap after that as well we now have yellows. It is Rally who's down to last place in this race after pitting for another set of softs. So after what was a promising qualifying for the Racing Point team, the race hasn't quite gone so well, but Milan does now have the 3-second gap to Harm that he needs to hold on to P2. And Rudy just gonna see if he can hold on to Harm here, regain a bit of his ERS after Harm used a bit to overtake him, and see if he can get a move done to reclaim that podium position. It's a very slow moving Rally here down the back straight. What's going on with him? Okay, he's back up to speed. Just kind of weaving. I don't know what he's doing. Maybe going for fastest lap here. Let's see if he can get it. Still not lapped though, quite importantly. Very close. Chiquito's on the, well, main straight distance away from him, but he isn't yet lapped. As we now have Joe, alluPallu and Jonah all running very close to us. Rudy's actually lost DRS to Harm, so he's just not able to keep up with the Red Bull at the moment. Red Bull looking good to secure that double podium. If things continue as they are, as Jonah gets himself a 3-second time penalty for multiple warnings. Now let's see, is alluPallu going to be able to do anything into turn 1? Not quite, so he's going to have to put it all on the final lap here, but he's been on those tyres for 5 laps now, which we've seen is really about the distance that they'll go before the mediums become better. I know those mediums are also 12 laps old, so they'll be quite near the end of their lifetime as well, but you've got to imagine that the delta between the 2 tyre compounds at this point isn't that huge. So it's going to be a tough ask for alluPallu to get this move done for P5 on the last lap, but it doesn't really matter that much. Joe does have that penalty, so I'm sure if it comes to it, he won't really risk it, and instead will try and claim that that fifth place without any further issues. But we now have Chiquito coming around the final corner, and he is going to win the Chinese Grand Prix here. So not the winner we expected at the start here, but is the winner we got to see all three of these drivers derating. Maybe Jonah going to go for a move, but not quite able to get close enough due to Tal Piz's own DRS boost from being so close to Joe. The biggest issue with this game so far, really, is now we have this trio, Joe, Tal Piz and Jonah coming across the line. It will be Tal Piz who claims 5th place, whilst Joe gets 6th and Jonah gets 7th with that dramatic crossing of the line. And just wait now on Rally to complete the final lap. He's a minute behind Jonah, so he is just about coming up to the 2nd sector split, and will be the last driver to finish this race in 8th place. Not really the race we wanted today. Yeah, poor attendance to start with, and not the most exciting race, and a few dodgy moments of bits of drama to go along the way, but nothing too interesting, as Rally's going to finish off with some donuts here. Donuts for the stream. And just going to make sure he crosses the line in time. He still has about a minute 20 left, but he does become the final finisher there. And Rudy apologises to Tal Piz, but he was lagging a lot, which we even saw on stream. There was a lot of lag coming out of Tal Piz there, so I'm sure it'd been very difficult to work out where he was if you were racing with him, so it's whatever. And Hum finally gets the podium. So it is that double podium for Red Bull. 1-3 instead of the 1-2 that looked likely earlier on in the race. Milan managing to recover to 2nd place after his strategy was kind of messed up by 2 safety cars in a row. But yeah, that's it, I guess. Pretty poor race, especially by ALR standards, but there it is. There's your incidents for this race. Not too many of them. There wasn't too many drivers either. And the fastest lap did go to Rally there in 8th place, so he did get at least 5 points then to his name that race. 4 for coming in 8th and 1 for the fastest lap. I don't really know what to say about that one, to be honest. It was just a mess from start to finish, and yeah. Just wasn't really necessary. I don't get why. I know you shouldn't expect this kind of thing to happen, but I don't get why leagues keep themselves still going to the end of June. I mean, this league ends literally the week before the season starts, which is, I mean, sprint. I think, sorry, the next game starts, and I think the sprint league actually has its final round inside of 2021's life cycle. I think the game will have already released by the time Sprint League ends. So yeah, I don't get the logic behind making the season go like that. You're going to get people lose interest towards the end of the game. You're going to get poor attendance and less less good racing because people aren't going to practice for it. So yeah, it makes more sense really to end your league season start of June and give them a bit of time off before the new game. But whatever. But yeah, I'm just gonna quickly check see if either of the other tiers are still going. Tier 4 has ended. Tier 2 has ended. So we were second to start today, but we are once again the last to finish. But make sure you go check out tiers 3, 5 and 6 on the Sunday, again at 8 o'clock UK time. And also make sure to check out the Sprint League on a Tuesday, once again 8 o'clock UK time. That's going to be it from me. I don't think there's much more to add to this one, so thank you all for coming.